Let me tell you about a case that just shook the foundations of Ireland's legal system. Imagine this. A man spends 14 months in prison for something he didn't do, only for the court to later say, okay, that was a miscarriage of justice. But then, when the state tries to correct that mistake, the higher court says, wait, you can't even do that. It's like a legal Russian nesting doll, each layer more confusing than the last. And what does this say about how we handle justice in the first place? Personally, I think this case is a wake-up call about how fragile our legal safeguards can be when power isn't properly checked. Here's the thing, the Special Criminal Court, which handles IRA-related cases, has always operated in a grey area. They can rely on belief evidence from senior police officers, which is basically a shortcut to conviction. But in this case, the evidence used to convict Michael Connolly was based on a Garda's testimony that relied on documents already in the trial file. That's called double counting, and it's a no-no. What makes this really interesting is that the court initially said this was a miscarriage of justice, but now they're saying the court itself made a legal error in even considering that. It's like arguing over whether the referee made a bad call during a game, and then realizing the referee didn't even have the right rules to begin with. Let me break this down. The original conviction hinged on a Garda's belief that Connolly was an IRA member. But the Garda's belief was based on evidence that was already part of the trial. That's a loophole in the system, right? If the law allows belief evidence, but that belief is built on the same evidence being used to convict, you're basically creating a legal loop. A detail I find fascinating is that the court now says this wasn't just a mistake, it was a fundamental error of law. That means the entire process of declaring a miscarriage of justice was invalid from the start. What does that say about the credibility of the Special Criminal Court? In my opinion, it's a huge red flag. If the court can't even agree on what constitutes a miscarriage, how can we trust it to deliver justice in the first place? And here's the kicker, the state tried to appeal the miscarriage ruling, arguing that there was still enough evidence to convict Connolly. But the higher court said, nope, you can't just ignore the procedural error. This raises a deeper question, when does the pursuit of justice become a game of legal technicalities? If you take a step back and think about it, this case isn't just about one man's freedom. It's about whether the system can admit when it's wrong without falling apart. What many people don't realize is that this ruling could set a precedent. If the Special Criminal Court can't use its own rules to fix its mistakes, what does that mean for future cases? It's like a house of cards, once you knock one rule out, the whole structure wobbles. This isn't just a legal technicality. It's a reflection of how power operates in the shadows. The Garda's belief evidence is a tool that gives them immense authority, but when that tool is misused, or even accidentally misapplied, it creates a vacuum of accountability. From my perspective, the real issue here isn't just the legal error. It's the lack of transparency in how these courts operate. When the Assistant Commissioner's testimony was found to be incomplete, it wasn't just a mistake, it was a systemic flaw. And if the system can't even police itself, what hope do ordinary people have? This case is a reminder that justice isn't just about getting the right verdict. It's about ensuring that the process itself is fair, transparent, and immune to the very mistakes it's supposed to prevent.